She came with 3 men I had never seen before. Big guys, rough-looking, the kind that crack their knuckles just to make a point. Karen, clutching that ridiculous fake HOA binder like it was some holy scripture, pointed straight at my house and screamed, "That man refuses to join the HOA. Make him sign today or drag him out." For a split second, I wondered if this was how my story ended, standing on my own porch with a shotgun in one hand and my canine snarling at my side, surrounded by people who thought they had power over me. I should back up a little. My name's John Miller. I'm a veteran settled in Rockdale County, Texas, because I thought this quiet little patch of land would be where I finally got some peace. I bought my property outright, my name stamped on the deed, every inch of it mine. No HOA, no endless rules, no busybody neighbors. At least that's what I thought when I signed those papers. But then Karen Brown moved in down the road. Karen wasn't just your run-of-the-mill nosy neighbor. She styled herself like a queen on a throne she never had. She called herself the HOA president of our street, even though no HOA had ever existed here. She carried around a fake binder full of copied forms and letters she whipped out whenever she wanted to bully someone. At first, I thought it was just her being a control freak until she slipped one of those fake violation notices into my mailbox. Lawn exceeds acceptable length. Fine, due $150. I laughed, tossed it in the trash. The next week, another one appeared: unauthorized vehicle parked overnight. Then another failure to comply will result in legal action. That's when I stopped laughing. She wasn't playing some neighborhood game. She was running a scam. And people started paying. Neighbors whispered that Karen had already collected hundreds from them. Some said she threatened to lock their garage doors or report them to the county. A few even believed her binder nonsense was real law. But me, I wasn't about to bend. That's what put me in her crosshairs. I'll admit, there were moments when I wondered if I was the problem. One night, after finding yet another fake letter taped to my fence, I sat on my porch with a beer in my hand, staring at the paper. What if she was right? What if I was the one making life harder for everyone else by refusing to go along? Maybe joining her fake little HOA circus would make things easier. I hated myself for even thinking it. But after weeks of being called stubborn, unneighborly, even dangerous, I started to feel the weight. I started to wonder if maybe I was the fool. But then I remembered why I bought this land. Freedom. A place where no one could dictate what color I painted my shutters or how long I cut my grass. I had fought overseas for rights I wasn't about to surrender on my own front lawn. That thought snapped me out of it. I doubled down. I set up cameras, trained my canine harder, and kept my shotgun polished by the door. I wasn't looking for a fight, but I wasn't about to roll over either. And that's when Karen escalated. The day she pulled up with her SUV full of muscle, I knew she thought she had me cornered. Those 3 thugs stepped out like they owned the pavement, smirking as they cracked their knuckles. My canine Max was on the porch beside me, ears pinned back, growl vibrating low in his chest. They laughed at him, called him a mutt. I didn't laugh. I just leaned against my shotgun and said, "Step 1 foot closer, and you'll regret it." Karen sneered, her voice trembling under all that fake bravado. "You're on HOA land now, John. You follow my rules, or you're out." The biggest thug took a step forward. Max lunged, barking so hard the man froze. For the first time, I saw doubt flicker across their faces. But Karen wasn't about to lose face in front of her rented goons. She pulled out a printed eviction notice and slapped it against my gate. "You're evicted as of today," she declared, waving it like a death sentence. I didn't move. I didn't blink. I just smiled and said, "Funny, because the sheriff already knows you're trespassing." And right on cue, sirens cut through the air. Red and blue lights bounced off every window on the street as the patrol car screeched to a stop behind her SUV. Karen's fake confidence cracked instantly, her face pale as chalk. She rushed forward the second the sheriff stepped out, shrieking, "Arrest! This man, he's refusing HOA law, and he threatened us with a gun." But the sheriff didn't even glance at her. He walked straight to me, shook my hand, and asked loud enough for the whole street to hear, "You holding up all right?" Karen's jaw dropped so hard I thought it might hit the pavement. "What? Why are you on his side? He's breaking the rules." The sheriff turned eyes like ice. Lady, there is no HOA here. This land is under county jurisdiction, and I've already warned you about impersonating an official. One of the thugs tried to speak up, muttering something about me squatting, but the sheriff cut him off, pulling a stamped deed from his folder. This man owns every inch of this property, legal and clear. You touch this paper, you'll be charged with destruction of evidence. The crowd was building now, neighbors stepping out of their homes, watching from porches. The thugs started looking less like muscle and more like pawns, and Karen looked like she was about to crumble. She tried one last desperate move. He threatened me with a gun. He pointed it right at us. The sheriff didn't flinch. You got the footage, he asked me. I nodded, handed him my phone. And there it was, recorded in full. Karen, barking orders, her goons marching toward me standing calm, shotgun never raised. Her voice screaming, "Make him sign or drag him out." The sheriff turned the volume up so the neighbors could hear every word. Murmurs spread. Someone across the street whispered, "She's been lying this whole time." Another shouted, "She took $200 from me." The floodgates opened. Karen's mask slipped entirely. She lunged at the sheriff's hand, tried to grab the phone, but Max leapt forward, barking so loud she stumbled back. The sheriff snapped his cuffs open with one hand. Enough lies, enough games, impersonation, harassment, trespassing. How far do you want this to go, Karen? The thugs backed away immediately. We didn't know this was illegal, one muttered. They looked ready to bolt. But Karen wasn't done humiliating herself. She grabbed that binder from her SUV, waved it above her head like a Bible. "This is legal authority," she screamed before hurling it at Max. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Max dodged easily, teeth bared. Then she pulled out a shiny plastic badge from her purse. "See, I'm deputized." The sheriff barked a laugh, sharp and cold. "That's a toy store badge, and now you've just committed another felony impersonating law enforcement." He flashed his real badge right next to hers. The difference was humiliating. Phones captured every second. Karen, in a last pathetic lunge, tried to grab my shotgun. Max threw himself between us, snapping until she stumbled back into the dirt, sweat streaking down her face. That was it. The sheriff didn't hesitate. He grabbed her wrists, snapped on the cuffs, and read her rights loud enough for the neighbors to record. But even in cuffs, Karen never shut up. She screamed, "You think this is over? I have people above you. Real power. Give me my phone." The sheriff shook his head, but a deputy pulled it out for evidence. Karen dialed furiously, put it on speaker. "Karen, what now?" a man's voice answered. The entire crowd went dead silent. "They're arresting me. You promised protection," she screamed. The sheriff's eyes narrowed. "Who is this?" The man hung up instantly, but not before half the neighborhood recognized the voice. Whispers spread. Wasn't that Councilman Briggs? The sheriff's jaw tightened. He had what he needed. Karen's house of cards had finally collapsed. And just like that, it was over. The queen of a fake kingdom dragged off in cuffs, her lies exposed under flashing red and blue lights. All I could think as I stood there, Max, at my side, was this bullies thrive on fear and silence. But the second you stand your ground, they lose everything.